Hello and welcome back to SOMAtalks, a podcast where body and mind meet. I'm very happy you are here with me today, and the topic of today's episode is connection. Nowadays, we exchange dozens, maybe hundreds of messages a day. Basically, we are living in the most hyper-connected era in human history. And yet, if we look closely at our daily experience, many of us still feel lonely. We often long for deeper closeness. It is a reality of modern life. We have an abundance of digital interaction, and we often don't know how to balance it with true, nourishing connection. So today, we're going to ask a question that touches almost every part of our daily lives. What actually makes us feel connected? We're going to explore what genuine connection really is according to neuroscience, basic psychology, and wisdom from yoga and Eastern philosophy, to show how science and ancient thought point toward the exact same truth. We are social creatures. We thrive when we feel connected. So if it sounds good, let's begin. To understand why closeness feels so good, we can look directly at our biology. Human connection is a foundational biological necessity. It rests alongside our physical requirements for food, water, or shelter. From an evolutionary perspective, human strength always relied on community. Our ability to flourish depended entirely on our capacity to form groups, trust each other, share resources, and cooperate. Because of this, our brains and bodies evolved to reward connection and signal safety when we are together. When you share a genuine moment with someone, a warm hug, a deep conversation, your brain releases a restorative blend of neurochemicals. For example, oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin balances our blood pressure, lowers stress hormones, and signals to our nervous system that we are in a safe, supportive environment. Neuroscientist Dr. Stephen Porges developed polyvagal theory, which explains how our autonomic nervous system constantly scans our surroundings for safety. A huge part of that process relies on co-regulation. Co-regulation means that our nervous systems naturally draw calm from another person's steady presence. When someone looks at us with soft eyes, speaks in a warm tone, and offers us undivided attention, our vagus nerve signals our body to slow its heart rate and enter a state of social engagement and restoration. This is why supportive relationships are consistently highlighted in long-term psychological research, like the 85-year-long Harvard study of adult development, as the single strongest predictor of human happiness, mental health, and physical longevity. True connection actively shapes your physiology, strengthens your immune system, and supports your brain throughout your life. So, if our bodies are designed to seek out safety and connection in others, what leads to the feeling of distance today? Modern life often gives us constant interaction. We text, we comment, we send voice notes, videos. These are active exchanges of information. Interaction exchanges data, connection exchanges energy, and shared presence. Interaction is transactional, connection is relational. When we communicate through screens, we experience a streamlined version of the rich biological data our nervous systems process in person. In digital spaces, we receive fewer subtle facial expressions, less shifts in vocal tone, basically no shared physical atmosphere, and no direct eye contact. With physical presence, those cues allow our nervous systems to fully co-regulate. Physical and emotional presence gives our bodies the somatic nourishment they naturally seek. Additionally, modern culture emphasizes speed, efficiency, and continuous productivity. We often carry a high level of cognitive engagement. When we process numerous notifications, emails, and news updates throughout the day, our attention stays fully occupied.
we can choose to move from consuming content about others into actual presence.
Beyond our screens and busy schedules, we also navigate an internal aspect of connection.
Genuine connection flourishes when we show up as our authentic selves. Showing up openly requires courage. Research on vulnerability highlights that a primary challenge to connection is often the fear of judgment, the quiet worry about whether our true imperfect selves will be fully accepted.
To maintain a sense of emotional safety, we sometimes build protective habits. We present a polished image, stay on the surface level of conversations, or focus primarily on news, weather, and routine updates. We might compare ourselves to others, which creates a sense of division and makes equal connection challenging. When our nervous system experiences elevated stress, it naturally stays guarded. In a protective state, we tend to interpret neutral signals cautiously. We might hold back, wait for others to initiate, or maintain emotional distance. Real connection flourishes in emotional safety, and it blooms through courage. It invites us to open up, allowing others to see us, while offering them a space where they feel accepted and respected. This brings us to a place where modern psychology meets ancient philosophy. If you look at the roots of yoga, you find a framework that has explored human relationship and awareness for thousands of years. Yoga is often recognized primarily as physical movement on a mat. In classical yoga philosophy, as presented in foundational texts like the Yoga Sutras, physical movement serves as a preparation for understanding the mind and our relationship with the world. One of its concepts is avidya. Avidya translates as a wrong perception that we are entirely separate, isolated individuals, distinct from one another, from nature, and from our own inner wisdom. According to yoga philosophy, this perception of separation is a primary source of internal friction. When we view ourselves through avidya, we see ourselves as solitary figures who must constantly defend our space, compete for success, and prove our value. We simply forget that beneath our different personalities, roles, backgrounds, and opinions, we share the exact same underlying life energy.
The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit root yuj, which means to join or to unite. The practice helps clear away mental busyness, guiding us to recognize the deep underlying unity that is already present. And yoga philosophy emphasizes a vital foundation. Connection begins within.
When we are connected with our own body, we naturally extend that same presence to others. Reconnecting with your breath, your physical sensations, and your core values creates the ideal foundation for reaching out to others with clarity and warmth. Looking beyond yoga into broader Eastern traditions, such as Buddhism, we find this exact truth reflected through the concept of interdependence. Eastern philosophy shows us that everything in the universe exists in relation to everything else. A tree thrives in connection with the soil, the rain, the atmosphere, and the sun. In the exact same way, a human being thrives within a web of relationships, community, ecosystems, and shared human history. When we focus on our deep interdependence, compassion naturally leads our actions. In these traditions, specific qualities are cultivated to deepen our sense of closeness. One of these is metta, often translated as loving kindness or goodwill. It is the simple practice of wishing well-being for others, offering kindness simply because, just like us, they desire to feel safe, happy, and at ease. Another concept is mudita, which means sympathetic joy. The practice of taking genuine delight in another person's happiness, success, or good fortune. Mudita offers a practical alternative to comparison and envy. When someone else succeeds, we can recognize that Their joy expands the collective wealth of human experience that we all share.
These ancient traditions provide practical psychological tools. They remind us that our personal well-being is harmoniously tied to the well-being of those around us. Caring for the quality of our relationships is a practice of wisdom and balance.
So, what does genuine connection look like in our daily lives? And how can we cultivate more of it starting today? Connection can happen in a brief, warm exchange with a neighbor, a quiet walk with a friend, or a shared smile across a room. It occurs whenever two people choose to be present together. Connection grows through active listening, genuine curiosity, eye contact, empathy, and presence. Often when someone speaks to us, our minds prepare our next response, form advice, or think about upcoming tasks. Yet most of the time, people simply appreciate feeling heard and understood. Here are a few practical actions to bring more depth to your everyday relationships. Keep screens out of sight. When enjoying a meal, a coffee, or a conversation with someone, place your phone out of view. Offering someone your undivided attention is a powerful act of care and respect. Pause before responding. When someone shares a story, give them room to complete their thought before offering your own perspective. Validate their experience by acknowledging their feelings first. Connect with yourself first. Take 5 minutes in the morning to sit quietly, feel your breath, and check in with your body before engaging with daily digital updates. Small, steady choices like these create an atmosphere of safety and warmth around you, signaling to others that you are a supportive presence. As we bring today's episode to an end, I invite you to consider one simple question. How can you bring a little more connection into your everyday life this week? Maybe it's choosing to be fully present during a conversation with a friend. Maybe it's taking a quiet moment to communicate something honest that you've been carrying within. Or maybe it's starting your morning with a few minutes of quiet awareness before jumping on your phone and engaging with the rest of the world. We don't need to transform our entire life overnight. We build this depth step by step. We nurture meaningful closeness through simple moments, awareness, and authentic choices. Connection is something we actively create. That's all for today. Thank you for being here, and I hope you liked this episode. Of course, feel free to reach back on social media as Instagram or Spotify, and let me know what you think and how you felt after listening to this one. Until next time. SOMAtalks, Agata Deras.